Hi everybody, this is DearMamaSal and I'm here at Valley Auto. They're the people that look after my car for me, and I'm really delighted to say that everything's good. It survived intensive care, and now I get to go home again. Yay! Hi car. The discussion I've just had with the owner, who's known me and my car for quite some time. Does he think I should continue to put money into... Apparently there was a bump there. Anyway, does he think I should continue to put money into a car that's already done 200,000 K? And the answer is yes. So let me try and explain this to you. The car has done 200,000 K, but is an extremely reliable car, as you all know. So the things that are going wrong are, you've got to remember that this is a 96, I think it is, or 98 Jeep, 98 maybe. So it's an old car in everybody's terms, but it actually doesn't look like an old car. It drives really well, the paintwork's still good. The leather seats all look good. The only thing that's actually worn is the armrest, because I put all my weight on it when I drive. I don't know if you've noticed, for those of you who are drivers, we're inclined to put all our weight on one side or the other. And I put mine, apparently, on my left-hand side, and I put a lot of it on my left elbow. So my armrest on my door here, where I put my elbow when I drive, that's worn out a little bit. So the only things that are sort of going are what I call the wear and tear things you would expect to go. In other words, some things were not designed to last all the years that I've had the car. They're not built to last forever. So if you like, it's built in obsolescence. So when I look at it, I go, is it worth keep spending money on the car? And the answer is yes, because this is the whole thing. Let's say, for example, I had not turned off the car when the warning light came on. I got a really good question from the Brit in England who asked me what would have happened. He doesn't know much about cars, so what would have happened if I hadn't stopped when I did and if I'd carried on driving? And what I have to say, Brit, is most people would do that. There are certain things in a car that you can ignore, and there are certain things that you can't ignore. So there was a warning originally, and it was what I call a yellow warning light, which we all thought was a bad sensor light, and in fact, you know, that's what everybody thought. And so those ones, they're sort of like, get it checked. So I did, I took it in and had it checked. But when you see what actually happened and why you saw my face change dramatically was I heard a warning noise I have not heard before from my car. And that was a solid, you know, the orange warning noise is sort of like dum-dum. In other words, hello, I've sent you a little tweet, if you like. It's like a tweet noise, right? Dum-dum. So you look at it and you go, okay, fine, the sensor light's on. They told me the sensor was faulty, to not worry about it. Well, that's what I did. However, when I was driving it and I heard this strange noise, and the strange noise was solid. No dum-dum, not a friendly little dum-dum. It was like a and I went, what the? And I looked down, actually, and it said, check your gauges. And I went, okay. So I checked my gauges, and what do I see? A red, solid red gauge. Solid red with that sound tells me there's something seriously wrong. And I can't remember whether it said turn off your car now, but I did. Why? Because I could see on my gauge that my car was overheating. And the discussion that I had right now was, if I had done what most people would have done, which was carry on driving to the nearest garage to save the money on a tow, I would have done what they call popping a head gasket. Now, when you blow a gasket, and that's where the expression comes from, by the way, when you blow a gasket, it basically means that the air pressure in the pressure in the engine blows the seal. There's like a seal that goes in, and your engine cap is, the top of your engine is here, and there is this seal that goes in, and when you blow a gasket, it means that you have blown the seal out of the system, like between the top and the bottom of the engine. And so they have to take the engine apart to replace that seal. Okay, got it? And that's what happens to most people when they get overheating, is they carry on driving to try and find the nearest garage. I turned my car off immediately and waited for the tow truck. Why? I am covered insurance-wise. Wow, he told me that the heat was going to be a little bit better. He wasn't joking. Wow. There's serious heat coming out of my car. I'm not used to that. So they said that if I hadn't done that, I would have blown a head gasket, and then we would be talking big money. We would have been talking $3,000 probably to repair it. So my question was, is it worth doing one of those sort of repairs on the car? And the reason I wanted to talk to oh, that is really hot. It's amazing. I'm just not used to it. The reason that I needed to ask the guy who owned the store is because he's had that store forever, and he knows how many of these cars come in with problems. And he said to me previously, the thing's like a tank, it will go on forever. And he said, if you're not worried about having the most modern car, if you're not worried about all the modern bells and whistles that go into cars, and if you can handle the fuel consumption, that's the downside of this, is it does suck quite a bit of gas. But I don't travel very much, so guess what? It's not really a major issue. I fill my car up twice a month, same as most people do. And quite honestly, a lot of people fill up a lot more often than twice a month. Makes sense. And it pulls my trailer really well. So his point of view is, even if I have a need to change the engine, it's actually worth it. If the condition of the car is good, and if everything else is working well. And if I ever wanted to sell the car, you understand that all these upgrades that I've done, not that many so far, but if I do, they're all part of the selling price of the car. I was talking today on the broadcast, great broadcast by the way, everybody. I really, really appreciated it. I found out I'm not the only person that has a few issues with a family member, and it was great because we talked honestly about it, and we all understood where all this was coming from, and discussed the coping skills and everything that go around it. So thank you everybody, great discussion. But one of the things I was talking to Angela about is, Angela's got a car that, funny enough, has similar heating problems. And she was saying that she just spent $750 on her as well, and be grateful, that's half of what I spent. But I know I've got a bigger car and so forth, and all those sort of things. Wow, there's still frost on the rooftops here. Must have been serious last night. So, when I look at it, I go, if I've put $5,000 in repairs into a car, even though it's an older car, when I go to sell it, I'll go, yes, I know the value of my car at this age is normally X, but you need to know I've just spent $5,000 replacing this, and this. Why? Because you're not going to have to replace those things. I've already done it for you. And those are the things that normally cost a lot of money. So here's the other thing that I have found out about cars, older cars. Do the math. I've had two things go wrong with my car this year. I think the first one was $1,200, and the second one now was 14 and change, or whatever. So that's $2,500. Now, if I get myself a new car, I don't have $25,000 to just drop in cash to buy a new car. So I would have to buy it on the system. That would cost me, even if I bought a compact, right, it's going to cost me $300 a month at least, I would think. And I wouldn't want a compact because then I couldn't pull my trailer. So to get what I've got now that's capable of pulling my trailer would probably cost me close to $1,000 a month. Do the math. I rather like the way I'm doing it. Now, my previous car was the same. I had my previous car for 15 years. I've had this one longer. But my previous car, I had it for 15 years, and I only sold it because I needed to buy something that would pull the trailer. But I look after it, and I look at it as an investment. A car is a very expensive thing to replace, as a lot of you know. So I consider, looking after my car, getting it serviced properly when you're meant to, doing the oil changes when you're meant to, all those things, to me is an investment, right? Because this is not a throwaway thing. This is my baby. Now, the only thing that would make me sell the car is if I found it difficult to get into the car. And quite honestly, at my age, it is much easier to climb up into a car than it is to go down into a car. Think about the technicalities of that when you're getting older and your upper body strength isn't as great. You just don't realize these things when you're young. But sort of climbing up is much easier than trying to bring your whole body down to sit in a lower thing. And I'm certain those of you who are older will understand that and agree with me. Now, the only difficulty is if I get a doggy and it's a small one, then getting into the car is more of a challenge because, it's much higher for a small dog. The other thing I noticed when I had the big dog, both of them, both of the big dogs that I had, it was more difficult, obviously, when they got older. Whereas if I get a smaller dog, when it gets older, I'll be able to lift it into the car. Won't be as big an issue. Lifting up a big German Shepherd wasn't quite as easy. Poor Bean. So I think about all these things, and I look at it this way, I've got a really comfortable car. And it's all leather bells and whistles. It doesn't have all the modern conveniences of hands-free, whatever, but, my other gizmos do. So ask me if I care. If I want hands-free, I just put my phone up. My phone's got hands-free on it. I don't need my car to give me that. Good. Well, guys, I hope that this makes some sense. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is I think we live in an age where we throw away stuff. Somebody asked me the other day, somebody commented on my video about the how to recycle, how to clean Swiffer dusters. And somebody said, I just throw mine away. Why would you bother to clean them? Well, I've had my Swiffer dusters for 5 years. I've never bought. I think I've still got a pack of 12 or something. I just don't use them. Why? Because every week or so, I wash the duster. And I just wash it carefully and I dry it. And I use it again. I'm using the same couple of Swiffer dusters that I've had for literally about 5 years, maybe more. And so I had to answer to this person, not everybody wants to throw away perfectly useful things. And I think for a lot of us now, we're getting a lot more aware of what a disposable life we live. I know that's probably is going to make some of you roll your eyes, but I actually wash my plastic bags. Most of them. If they really got a lot of oil and crud on them, then I don't. But if I've just carried a sandwich to work or whatever, I just put in some soap, dish soap, and I wash it. And then I put it upside down on one of those peg things and let it dry, and then I use them again and again and again and again. So that allows me to buy the good ones, because I probably only buy plastic bags, once a year, depending on what it is. So, I don't think that we should keep throwing stuff away. We're just adding stuff to the landfills. We're just doing what we don't need to do. And I think it's wasteful. And I really must admit that I used to complain about people who did things like I am doing, and I now realize, now that I'm older, why they did it. Because I think when you get older, you start to realize just how disposable your life is. And that's not good. When I say your life, but the things in your life. I've just cleared out some things from my kitchen that I don't use a whole lot. One is my bread maker, and the other is my juicer. And the reason is because when I do juice, I just use my bullet now, and I prefer to have the fibers and everything in there. I like to have the fiber, and and the juicer was great, and I understand that if I could afford the really expensive one that you've all seen, I probably would use it a lot more, because it is easier to clean or whatever. But I just don't use mine enough, and I use my magic bullet all the time, and it's really easy to clean and throw in the dishwasher. So I could have thrown them both out in the landfill, but I didn't. What I've done is I've put them down, and I've said to Yvonne, I'm certain you've got church members who would really like a bread maker or a juicer. So please let the church know I'm donating them for somebody who could use them. So I'm not going to fill up a landfill, I'm going to give them away. All right, everybody, so had a very successful day. I was actually delighted how many people enjoyed yesterday's vlog, where I talked about what happened to my car and reframed the whole way. And it was really great to hear on the broadcast today how many people said that my practical examples over this week of how I reframe have really helped them. I thought the really cute thing that I heard today, and I love it when I hear these things, was Linda from the UK was telling me that her kid is starting to come out. She's watched enough of me and my kid that she's starting to give permission for her kid to come out. And she said she was at an intersection the other day and she was waving at the cars. Apparently her son was not very impressed. And Linda said, no, but Mama Sal will be really very impressed that I did this. She would totally understand, and I did. Way to go, Linda. We spend too much of our time being far too serious. And on that delightful note, this is Dear Mama Sal saying bye-bye for now.